Welcome you all here, and we'll begin by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, will you have roll call, please?
Councilwoman Barlow.
Here.
Councilman Brown.
Here.
Councilman Gardner.
Here.
Councilman Jensen.
Here.
Okay, first item of business is the proclamation for the Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Idaho Association of the Education of Young Children and other local organizations are celebrating the Week of the Young Child from April 11th to April 17th, 2026. And basically, these organizations are working to promote and inspire high-quality early childhood experiences for our state's youngest citizens that can provide a strong foundation of learning and lifelong success for Idaho's youngest citizens. And whereas the young children thrive when they have access to developmentally appropriate, affordable, and high-quality early care and education systems. And whereas each early childhood educators and those who work with or on behalf of young children from birth through age 8 who make meaningful difference in the lives of these children in Blackfoot deserve our thanks, support, and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are critical to the young children's futures and to the prosperity of Idaho's families, communities, and our economy. Therefore, I do proclaim April 11th through the 17th as the Week of the Young Child. Okay. The second proclamation is a seasonal water right use for restrictions for conservation. I wanted to read this to you. This came to me April 3rd. This season, Snake River at high sea flow is forecast has dropped to 70%. Early this winter, the forecast was based on the conditions at that time was over 100%. Forecast flow from Island Park Reservoir is 65% of normal, and from Ryrie, 26% of normal. Based on the high sea forecast, there will be no flow augmentation rental from District 1. However, the Bureau of Reclamation may still send flows of 100,000 acre feet down the river for salmon flow augmentation. The reason for these changes is due to a very dry March combined with record warm weather and early snow melt. While total water year precipitation above American Falls is still 104% of normal, the below average snowpack has already dropped to 59% of normal, and the largest canal in East Idaho has already warned their stockholders that they may not have water after early August. Based on that, the proclamation by myself as mayor of the city and in accordance with Ordinance 9128, subsection 2, we are going to implement water use restrictions for the city of Blackfoot from May 1st through October 1st, 2026. This is for all residents and businesses connected to the city water system, and they need to comply with the following water schedule. Properties with even-numbered street addresses may irrigate lawns and landscapes only on even-numbered calendar days. Properties with odd-numbered street addresses may irrigate lawns and landscape only on odd-numbered calendar days. No watering shall be permitted on the 31st day of the month. Additional conservation, and this is just guidance. Outdoor watering is discouraged between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to reduce evaporation loss. Residents are encouraged to adopt xeriscaping, water-wise landscaping practices in accordance with city conservation goals. And the washing of cars, mats, etc. should be done on the grass if at all possible and not in the driveway or streets. Hand watering of trees, shrubs, and gardens is permitted on designated days only. There are violations for this, which could be warnings for the first offense, followed by fines and penalties as per the statute. And be it proclaimed that the city staff will take all necessary steps to notify the public about these restrictions. And this will be, like I said, effective May 1st. Okay. All right. Rex, you're up next.
Kyle. I want to recognize Kyle Daffer. He is our pre-treatment coordinator at the City of Blackfoot wastewater treatment plant. Kyle has received a certificate of achievement for water and wastewater treatment and water treatment, and an Associate of Applied Science in Water and Wastewater Treatment, Water Treatment. These are both from the College of Southern Nevada, and they really help propel him in our field and helping us to keep the industries from damaging our system by what they discharge into it. And I just want to recognize him and congratulate him on these two achievements.
All right. Chief Croft.
Hey, like some of my kids, get up.
All right, although this has been presented to Chief Croft earlier, he has the official one, I guess, hanging on the wall, is my understanding. I did want to recognize him for what was written about him. This came from the Idaho Peace Officers Standards and Training News Release. He was given the post-executive certificate, and they listed in here that not only was he born and raised in Southeast Idaho, attended public schools while growing up in Pocatello. We forgive you for that. But he's currently appointed by the Blackfoot City Mayor and the City Council as Chief of Police. He served 25 years within the law administrative duties as a patrol officer, school resource officer, detective, and administrator since May of 20,000. Chief Croft attended thousands of hours of training and schooling as a result of resulting in several high liability instructor certifications to include firearms and arrest techniques, defensive tactics. He's a graduated of the FBI Command College. Some of his experience and other duties include field training officer, coordinator, bike patrol, certified drug recognition expert, past SWAT team member, detective, narcotics detective, and patrol commander. As police chief, he is responsible for the operations of the patrol division, detectives division, which consists of 29 sworn personnel, many of which are here tonight, 2 part-time sworn personnel, 3 reserve officers, and 4 support staff. This responsibility includes overseeing the daily patrol activities, detective investigations, civilian incidents and activities, scheduled arrangements, and community involvement within our city. He also oversees civilian operations to include records and evidence. And basically, they awarded him because of his success and his dedication to the profession. Now, I didn't read all of it because I really think the more important is what I'm going to read now. Great. Tonight, we recognize Chief Gordon for his 26 years of dedicated service to the Blackfoot Police Department and to our community. His career reflects steady leadership, professionalism, and commitment to the people he has served. Chief Croft has worked in nearly every position and division within the department. Over the years, he has earned many of these post certificates, including the executive post certificate, which we read tonight. He also attended more than 3,000 hours of training and instructed over 400 hours of post-certified classes. He was also appointed to the Post Council and served on the Idaho Chiefs of Police Association, contributing to statewide law enforcement standards and leadership. These accomplishments gave him a broad, balanced understanding of policing and strengthened the department throughout his career. A strength of Chief Croft has been his ability to empower others. He builds trust through communication and mentorship, and he encourages team members to take ownership, make co-decisions, and grow through experience. His leadership created a culture where people shared credit, support one another, and confidently step forward when challenges arise. Chief Croft supported training that improved teamwork and understanding across his department. This helped build a strong, capable organization in which members make sound decisions and work together with confidence. Under his guidance, the department strengthened its community involvement and maintained the lowest turnover rate in its history. This stability has allowed the department to build a positive culture and attract high-quality individuals who want to serve the community. As Chief Croft retires, he leaves behind a confident and forward-looking department with a strong succession plan already in place. He has prepared his command staff and every member of the department to continue growing and upholding the police standards they have worked so hard to advance. We offer our sincere appreciation to Chief Gordon Croft for his years of service and for the lasting impact he has had on the Blackfoot Police Department and on his community. Now, because I've only had the pleasure of working with you for 3 months, and I had Wes Wheatley write this for me, because he's worked with you a lot longer.
Hey, you get a raise.
But I want you to know that in the few months that I've worked with you, I have found you to be a man of honor and integrity. You care deeply about the citizens of this community as well as those in your department. Your leadership skills are far above many others. You have built a police department that is unequaled in Idaho. You will be sorely missed, and you have left big shoes to fill. However, he is leaving having built a leadership staff that can fill those shoes, and that is what true leaders do. And so, Chief, I thank you for your service to the citizens and the city. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we will have the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, payables.
That's part
Yeah,
of
That's part of the consent agenda.
Sorry. She read, listed it separately. I told her last time not to do that, right? All right, Graham. Let's have the treasurer report. You sat in the back for a reason.
Mayor, council, good to be with you tonight. In front of you, you have the treasurer's report for the month of February. As of February 28th, 2026, we were at 41% of fiscal year 26. And in that first column, or the table that's in front of you, it gives our expenditures as of year to date. So if you look over for the general fund, we were at 37.5% expended for the entire fund, which is great because we're right on track where we'd expect to be, trending under, which is good. So admin at 35%, police at 38%, and fire at 34.9%. Then as we move down to the ambulance fund, we're just a little bit over our trend. We're at 44.8%, but things are looking, they're good. We've had some repairs and different things come through, so those are expected. Streets, we're on track at 36.1. Airport at 11.4, cemetery at 31.5, library at 26.9%. Parks and Rec Fund as a whole is at 47.8%. And then if you look at the parks, I split it up like I did for last month just to show the difference, because the big hit on the parks is the capital improvement, which are the funds that we've expensed for the Twin Bridges Landing, which are being, which we're using the funds that have been given over by Bureau. So they're not planned funds, but that's why that one looks so high. So if we took that out of the equation, we'd be at 28% for Parks and Rec. And then golf course is on track at 37.3. And moving down to water, we're at 16.5, wastewater at 26.8, and then sanitation is at 40.2. Any questions from the council on our expenditures year to date? Okay. If we look at the next section, we're down at the investment accounts. With our Morton investments, we closed the month at $3.7 million. The LGIP closed at $13.8 million. The diversified bond fund at $3.1 million. The Zions sweep account at $11.6 million. And then the Zions checking closed at $11,013. Any questions on any of our investments or portfolio accounts? Okay. Moving over to our 3-month calendar outlook. April is, we pretty much finished up round 1. I'm just working through the remainder of the wish list items and updating information as I get that in for our round 1 of budget meetings. We'll start looking to schedule round 2 now that the state legislature has closed their session. We'll now start getting state projections for highway user monies and the different sales tax revenue apportionments that will come our way. So we'll get those projections so we can start narrowing in our revenues and start seeing where we're going to come in at. So that's kind of what April will look like. May, we'll complete round 2 and probably round 3 if needed, so that we can get into a balanced budget. And then June will be finalizing the tentative budget that we'll propose at the July council meeting. And then also, just as an update, the state changed the reporting dates for Transparent Idaho. It used to be you had to have everything in by December 1st. They now changed that to July 1st. So the next couple of months will be spent trying to get all of our documentation and information reported through their system so that we meet that July 1st deadline. So that's what we've got coming up over the next 3 months. Also, I failed to mention too, in April, we always send out our budget hearing notice to the county for what that date will be. So I got that from Pam Eckhart over at the county offices the other day, and we've sent that, and it will be our budget public hearing will be the last Tuesday of July. I don't remember that. It's either the 27th or the 28th. I don't remember what date it was exactly, but so if you want to put that on your calendars. So moving down, ARPA projects, there's no real update, just working through install of those radios. No new updates on Meridian Highway 91 realignment. West Bridge Street Bridge, we're working through process for final design. So we're going through the engineering and the design with architectures and all that good stuff. The goal is to be able to have that finished up by the end of September so that we have a complete package. And if you remember, we put in for a grant for the 2026 Build America. We're waiting to hear on that. It probably won't be till later this year before we hear anything about it, but we're hoping that we get some traction there. Moving down to Pendlebury Lane, PS&E was submitted, so we got all that finalized done, all the right-of-way alignments and surveying done with the state hospital, and that's all been finalized and satisfied, and so the state's signed off on everything, and that all has been submitted to LTAC and ITD, so we're just waiting for them to complete their review process and tell us we're able to go out for bid. So as soon as that comes, we'll get out for bid and hopefully be under construction this summer. So we're still looking to be on track for that. Downtown revitalization, we're gonna talk about that more in a little bit, but we're gonna start the process for the grant for phase 2 of that project. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Well, number 14, progress is still moving along the way we expect. We completed the 60% design review for the well house. So the well has been punched. It produces the clarity of water, meets all of the water quality checks. So it's a good producing well. We're just finalizing design for the actual well house and all of the instrumentation and equipment that will go in that. So we hope to be through 90% design here in the next little while. And then once we're complete with that, we'll hopefully be going out for bid sometime late this summer, August sometime. And optimistically under construction early fall. So that's kind of being optimistic, but we'll see how we go. But everything's moving the way we hope it to be. And then the last update is just the Twin Bridges Landing project. Like we talked in the previous council meeting, we're just waiting for JUB's design engineers and architects to finalize the two proposals that we've discussed. And then they're supposed to be getting cost estimates for each of those two proposals. And then we'll kind of make a decision on what makes most sense budgetarily wise, and then also for the community, and kind of go from there. So that's kind of everything we've got on the calendar and projects. Is there any questions or any updates that I can give you on any of those? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and jump to the next part of the agenda that's under me is the downtown revitalization project. It's a continuation of our overall downtown revitalization plan. We had that developed by Keller Associates a couple of years ago, and it's broken out into phases. And each phase, we're looking at going for different grants to be able to fund those. The last phase, which was from Bridge to Pacific, that one was funded through the grant that we'll be applying for with the Department of Commerce. It's a CDBG grant. And they funded about $540,000, which is pretty close to what it cost. We had to kick in a little extra just because construction costs were a little higher than what was estimated in the original estimates. But what we've got before you and what you saw in your packets for tonight is just the agreement to enter into a professional services contract with CCOG to do the grant writing and to manage the grant for us. And they've got on the back page, their addendum or part A, exhibit A, is just the scope of work and everything that's outlined in that suite of services that they'll do for us. I didn't know if there was somebody from CCOG tonight. Oh, there we go. Did you have anything you want to add or discuss or
No,
talk
I think
about?
you killed it.
Okay.
Good job.
Thanks. I knew you were coming, but I didn't see you before.
No, you're okay.
All right. Any questions about the project or about the agreement?
No.
So if council and mayor, if you're all okay with it, it would just giving the mayor authority to sign the agreement that we could enter in with CCOG and start that grant process.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Next thing on there is the agreement for professional services for an update to our water modeling and pressure system for our culinary water system. So we always, as part of maintaining the water system, you have to update these processes and your suite of your modeling and different things every so many years. And with us bringing on a new well, hopefully sometime next year, when that well will come into play, it will impact the system. And so in order to be ready for that and to have everything accounted for, it just makes sense to go ahead and update our modeling at this point in time. As part of that study, they'll include that new well, and then they'll also look to identify different ways that we can help increase pressures. Currently, we've always maintained a 60 PSI throughout our system, and with irrigation demands going up and things like that, it causes some pressure issues. And so we've been actively over the last probably 3 to 4 weeks anticipating pressure demands going up for irrigation season. We've started increasing those pressures at the wellheads to try to help offset some of that. By law, you can only go up to 80 PSI for your entire system. And we've always maintained at 60. And so we're slowly increasing those. Part of the risk with that is you don't know how your system will handle increased pressures, if you'll have more leaks and what the utility costs will be on that. So we've been doing that slowly in anticipation and as a help as we do some of these water studies. So the agreement here is just for Keller Associates to continue to manage and update the water model, taking into account for the new well, and then to identify ways that we can increase and stabilize pressures throughout the city system. And then Coulter Hollingshead, he's with Keller Associates. He's here with us. Coulter, do you have anything you'd like to add to that? Okay. Let's try and make it easy for you. Okay. But if there's any questions we could answer for you tonight on that professional services agreement, happy to do it. And Coulter's here. He's the expert, and he could help us answer any questions you have. So if you're amicable to it, it would just be to accept the professional services agreement and then have the mayor sign it, and then we get started on that project.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All right. Okay. The last thing that I have tonight, Council and Mayor, is just an update for you all on the Jensen's Grove levee situation. So just a quick background. I know you're all familiar with it, but just kind of recap where we're at, where we started and how we got to where we're at today. When we entered into the irrigation agreement with Snake River Valley Irrigation District, part of that for them to manage it and keep the water levels going is we needed to repair the levee that was blown out. It was a year and a half ago from high water, right? When the water came down and it forced all that water through the diversion that's just north of us that they bolstered and reinforced, it put way more pressure on our levee than it could handle, and it blew out that spot. John, I've got those two pictures. There you can see there's an overview drone footage. So if you look to the right, you can see to the right of the photo is the head gate and the inlet, which goes under the freeway and fills Jensen's Grove. And then that diversion, you see all the rock debris and stuff comes out around. Well, that big gap there to the left of the picture is what got washed out during the high water. And so you can see how the natural water flow goes. It pushes right out and it doesn't want to push up to the head gate. So you really need that levee there to direct the flows. So as part of our agreement with Snake River Valley Irrigation, they went out and they went to bid and got Nicholson Construction was the low bidder to go out and repair that levee. And we moved forward with them as being the low bidder and as the recommendation for Snake River Valley Irrigation. That amount was $164,999 is what was approved. So on March 27th, we got a phone call from Nicholson Construction. They started turning water down, and as they were closing the gap there with the levee to the sandbar island that's just right there, the water flow had increased so much that it was washing out that sandbar pretty quickly, because really all that's there is just pit run and sand. It's not got a lot of rock substance to it. And so as they started getting closer to that, it just kept washing it out faster and faster. So Garrett, Wade, and myself went down and met with Nicholson's on the levee and discussed kind of some options. And the goal and the thought was at the time is if we can just push and get enough material in there and close that gap quick enough, we should be able to do it. And they gave us an initial estimate of $26,000 to complete that. With the water and with that eroding away, we made the decision, let's go ahead and try to do that. So they went ahead and they moved forward on it. And as it came about, there's a big, John, if you'll go back to that overhead one, there you go. Right where that washout is, there is a ginormous hole that's really wide and really deep right at the base of that levee. And nobody really quite knew how deep or how wide it was. And so they were just filling it, trying to place big rocks, really huge boulders and things. And it's just so deep that it wasn't, they couldn't build it fast enough and get the rocks there quick enough. So we had them pull off on the 30th and said, okay, let's hold off, because they came back to us with another estimate saying, hey, with how much material and quantities we've put in this, we're estimating another 78 to 80 grand on top of what I told you before, just to close this gap. And so we're like, well, that's got to be a council decision, so let's hold off. And they took and stockpiled a bunch of rocks and things that were in the initial quantities that we agreed to, so that if council was amicable to it, when they got the thumbs up, they'd go ahead and try to close it. The objective is going to be to reach across that gap. Now, this is an older picture, so that gap isn't as wide as what it looks like. We've closed that quite a bit. Is to get a larger excavator in there and then reach across, build up the other bank on that sandbar, reinforce that, and then work back this way. Just because that sandbar is just sand and it's just washing away. So we've got to build that up first. We've had other construction companies reach out to us and say that's really your best and only option to solve this problem. So we know we're on the right path. Well, so that's something for council to consider. The total price that they estimate that we will be at by the time if they get approval to move forward and go, we'd be at $219,667. So it's considerably higher than what they had originally bid at $164,000. Knowing that was a high price, we started kicking tires just loosely on what other options we have available to us to try to, fill the grove and make sure that we have recreational water. So we looked into pumping options. We reached out to a company, Rain for Rent. They deal in a lot of irrigation stuff, and they have pumps big enough that can flow as much water that is needed. So to be able to maintain the level in the grove, you need a constant flow of 35 to 40 cubic feet per second flowing into the grove. So that equates to, I think it's between 18 and 20,000 gallons per minute is what you have to have constantly flowing in there to maintain your levels at the grove once it's full. So they have the pumps to do it. It would take 2 pumps, and they give you 2 options. You can buy the pumps and have them set them in, or you can rent. And so we looked at both options. For both pumps to be put in and set, you're looking at about 600 to 750,000. And then on top of that, you've got fuel costs because they're diesel powered, and you have to run diesel because there's no power down there. There's no 3-phase, no access to it. So those diesel pumps burn about 19 gallons of fuel per hour. So, the cost just jumped astronomical when you think about pumping. So we came to the conclusion fast, whether you rent the pumps or you buy the pumps, it's just not a cost-effective solution. And so after kicking the tires, we keep coming back to the fact that the best path forward to solve the issue short term is to close that gap, bolster up that sandbar island, and finish that levee out. Now, is that going to solve the problem for all eternity? Probably not. Mother Nature always changes her mind, right? But it's our best path solution going forward, and it's going to be our most cost effective at this point. So that's kind of the update, and that's what I leave before you tonight to decide on is what would you like us to do? What direction?
So Graham, the question I have, we
Yeah.
closed that. We spent the 220,000, we close it. What's to prevent it from next year to be blown out if we have a high water year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is no guarantees. However, one of the issues that caused the blowout was the diversion just north. That, as part of this project, and they've already been out and done it, is they lowered that diversion about 2 feet so that it created a spillway. So instead of all the water pressure being forced down, it allows water to spill over at high water flows, so it doesn't force so much down the channel that we're trying to divert.
Okay.
So that's, and talking to some other irrigation companies that deal with this, and contractors, they say, yeah, you absolutely need to do that. You've got to create a release valve for that high water. So that's been our first step, is trying to ensure that this gives us a longer term solution than just getting washed out with the next high water year. So it doesn't guarantee it though,
Right.
but it gives us a better chance. And again, I'm not necessarily saying that fixing this diversion is the ultimate long-term solution. It's just right now, short-term gain and give us our best bang for our buck. It probably
Okay, second question, so we
Yeah.
filled this in. What does the river have to be at and maintain at to be able to get water into the grove? I mean, what flow has to be coming down? Do you know what the minimum flow is to be able to get water into the grove? Or is that up to Snake River Valley to figure that out?
Well, so that's a combination of what the river itself's flowing
Right.
at, and then you come into play with water rights,
Correct.
right? And what water rights you do have at what time of year. I can't remember exactly what the river flow itself needs to be to push 40 cubic feet per second through that culvert diversion.
Because I know that culvert there is.
Yeah.
So one of the problems we have is it's too high.
Right, and
And
you
there's-
can't lower it because
Right.
of elevations, because the grove isn't that low, so the way it shot, we thought about, could we just drop that culvert? And we went and shot elevations in it, and it's pretty flat. We had a contractor that was helping us out, they looked at it and shot it, and they're like, that's pretty flat, you don't have any drop to be able to lower your culvert to get it going down, so,
Get a reverse flow.
yeah. we-
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, we would.
Not good.
So,
Yeah.
We'd have to move the diversion upriver quite a ways
Right.
to be able to.
And then there's
For
the,
long-term
well,
fix.
Graham and I talked before, then there's the problem of getting, who is it?
Yeah,
Iowa
you-
Fish and Game.
yeah, you've got 5 or 6 agencies that all got to get on the same page, between IDWR, Army Corps of Engineers, Idaho Fish and Game. You've got FEMA involved at that point, ITD to some degree with where you choose to put. So there's a lot of jurisdictions that come into play when we talk about point of diversion. Plus, you've got water rights users
Right.
above and below. So there's a lot of hats in the ring that have to be on the same page for that. So,
Do I have a question?
Yeah.
So we're already 27,000 over budget and we're looking at another 80, so that's $107,000 over budget. Where's that gonna come from?
so if you remember, and again, it's your decision, we always want to have a 6-month operating cost in our general fund, right? That's our policy, right? We always have 6-month reserve in operations. We closed fiscal year 25 with 7.5 month reserve. So we have a little bit of extra that we were able to save, that we were able to bring in revenue, that we could absorb the cost if the council chose to go forward with it. So I would.
Would it just be that month and a half, or would we drop below the 6 months?
No, it would, the amount that we would be using to make up the difference we would still maintain our 6-month reserve. We'd probably eat a month, that 7-month reserve up is what it would eat up.
The other issue is that with the way the water year is developing, there's a really good possibility, even though Snake River, our agreement with them is that they're gonna guarantee us X amount of water to get into the grove. We might be like last year, 1 month and then nothing. There's a call on the water.
Could be.
Yeah.
And that begs the question, if we wait until like the fall when there's less water running down the river, would it be cheaper to do this project?
Well, I don't know that it would necessarily be cheaper because you're probably going to have the same quantities that you need to bolster the bank on the other side and bridge the cross. You will have lower water, right? Because irrigation season's done. The issue you run into though is you're probably when they turn down irrigation water and we have high water flow through the first few months, May and June, you'll fill the grove. But once the water level drops, you won't have anything because all that water is going to flow right out through that gap.
Right.
So we'll be in the same situation that we were in last year. We had good water up until about second week of June, maybe, and it started dropping. And then once the river flows went down enough, we just couldn't dam up enough in that channel to push it through. So that's the risk you run. If you wait, you'll have another year where you potentially have.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the cost savings is worth that risk.
Yeah, and that's,
The only other thing that Mickelson had brought up in one of the conversations I'd had with him, the problem if we wait. So once the river had gone up a little bit, but now the irrigation's being pulled out of it, it'll come back down. But if we're only, we've been a week of erosion, if you wait till fall, now you've had 4 months of erosion
It's true.
going
True.
through that hole. Now that hole's back to however bigger again. You have to
That
wait.
is true.
Yeah,
So we're gonna lose ground.
So we're gonna
Probably.
lose ground. Yeah.
Any other questions, concerns, statements?
I think it's better off to get out ahead of it than fall behind.
Yeah, I'd hate to throw that money in down the river.
Yeah.
That we've already put into it.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the increased funds as requested.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mark, you're looking. I was gonna, you beat me to it. It's one of those, oh,
Crazy enthusiastic.
geez, me
about it.
either.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes.
thank you, council.
All right, thank you, Graham.
Eyeing those tissues over there.
All right, let's go to the next item. This is the records destruction resolution.
And I can read it to you real quick, might shorten the, anyway, what's resolution number?
434.
434. So as council remembers, each time they're destroying records, they've got to go through the process and get council permission. And I think you probably got the attachment of the records that are going to be destroyed. The list. So anyways, the resolution is very simple. It's a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Blackfoot, Idaho, authorizing destruction of records. And whereas Idaho Code 50-907 requires the city council to authorize destruction of records that are not required to be retained as permanent records or historical records and invent the minimum retention period provided by the city's record retention schedule and are no longer required by law or for city business. Whereas the city clerk has proposed for destruction of certain records that have extended their minimum retention. And whereas approval for the destruction of the attached listed records has been obtained from the Idaho State Historical Society if required, and the city attorney is provided by Idaho Code 50-907. Now therefore be resolved, the mayor and city council of the city of Blackfoot, Idaho, that the attached list of records shall be destroyed under the direction and supervision of the city clerk. See attachment A, and that the administration staff of the city is authorized to take all necessary steps to carry out the authorization provided by this resolution. Passed and approved by the mayor and city council the 7th day of April 2026.
I move that we approve resolution 434 in regards to records retention and destruction.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes. All right, next item. And that is the new police chief nominee recommendation to the council. Okay, I don't know how much information you have received, so I will fill in the questions. I made a determination that we have the leadership we need for a new police chief in the house, in the police department itself. We didn't have to go outside of the police department to search for one. I have recommendations from Chief Croft, from Ryan Jolly, the prosecutor, from former Chief Moore, and trying to think of another one in here somewhere.
Is the one from the sheriff?
And the one from, yes, Sheriff Gardner. So we had recommendations. They all recommended the same person. In addition, I interviewed the captain, Wes Wheatley, and also the two lieutenants, Blake and Todd, and asked them some pretty pointed questions and actually asked them who they thought would be best to lead the Blackfoot Police Department. It doesn't happen very often, but it did happen in this circumstance. Everyone agreed on the same person. And so I would recommend to you Wes Wheatley as the new police chief of Blackfoot City.
I will make the motion that we nominate Wes Wheatley as the chief of police for the city of Blackfoot, effective upon Chief Croft's resignation.
I'll second that.
Okay. Now, set of procedures to make sure that we do this right. Chief Croft is going to retire April 20th. We are going to have an open house. I wanted to call it a roast, but he won't let me do that. And that will be on April 20th from 2 to 4 p.m. here. And of course, you're all welcome to be here. And if you want to roast him, I won't object. And what I would recommend is that we go ahead and at 4:01 p.m. that we swear in the new chief on April 20th. And he can, this will be the swearing in ceremony. And then we will do an official ceremony on May 5th. And that way we will avoid some of the problems that we could come up if he was just to serve as the captain or the interim chief. In addition, that will allow him to then start the process of finding a new captain, lieutenants, and all the other organization he has to do. So that's the recommendation I would make to you, and it's up to you.
Okay, sounds good. We need to vote on that.
Yeah.
We
Do I
have
need
a
to
motion
include
and a
that in my
second.
motion, or
I would just amend your motion to include the procedure outlined by the mayor.
so amended?
And so re-seconded.
And everybody, all those in favor?
Do we do
Oh, do a roll call? Yeah, it's roll call. It's an appointment. Sorry, my
Okay.
bad.
Councilwoman Barlow?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Gardner?
Yes.
Councilman Jensen?
Yes.
Okay, well, congratulations, Wes. Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. You do not have to sit here, since most of the police force seems to be here in this room, and we really feel comfortable in that, we will excuse those that need to be excused.
This will no longer be the safest place in the county.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Mayor,
Cousins.
right, Mayor.
Thank you.
Great choice.
Good.
All right, now you made me look bad.
Jordan's a friendly comment.
Did I get you?
Oh, you're gonna one up because that was
Everybody calls me Nebs.
Yes,
That's my
okay,
nickname.
got it.
He probably remembers it when I was in high school.
I forgive you. Sorry, sir.
No, we got a few other, what's that? After my interview? Not really. Those guys work so well together as a team. It is absolutely amazing between Blake, Todd, and Wes. It was, yeah, I can't believe we worked that well together. They did. So.
Good.
Okay, next item is the sponsor for the CDBG grant for Bingham County Senior Center at Sunset Manor. So just, yeah, you're going to get to speak. So, so my understanding is that the Sunset Manor has an elevator. It has completely failed, which is kind of hard for senior citizens to be climbing up and down stairs. And so they sought a grant from CCOG, which has been granted. And if you want to come up, you'll probably get a few questions. I can only speak kind of what was told me. Part of it is the city of Blackfoot has to be involved in terms of kind of the trust and manage the funds and pay out the bills and stuff like that. But I will turn it over to you. Just introduce yourself and tell us how this is going to work. And I have talked to Graham about this, by the way, so.
And by the way, Graham's a tough act to follow. He's really good at this. I'm Pam Buse. I'm the executive director of the Senior Center and the management agent for Sunset Manor. The Senior Center is a 501c3 here in Blackfoot, and we own Sunset Manor. It is a section 202/8 property, which means to rent there, you have to be low to very low income, seniors or disabled. So it was built in 1980, and that's how old the elevator is. It's 3 stories with 16 units on each floor. And over the last 3 years, it's gone down 5 times. Currently, it is down, but I have a new elevator company that should have it up and running again for a little longer, we hope. And so I've been struggling to come up with funds ranging anywhere, estimates range somewhere between $200,000 and $350,000 to put in a new elevator in that building. And of course, being a nonprofit, we don't just have pocket change like that. I finally found CCOG, and I'll let Crystal kind of let you know what the city's role would be in our project.
And I'm Crystal Denny. I'm the Community and Economic Development Director at CCOG, and as of Monday, actually, I'll be the Executive Director. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me. As of right now, no funds have been granted to the Senior Center or Blackfoot. What we're doing is we're asking the City of Blackfoot to be a sponsor for the grant. And you guys are familiar with the process. It's the same process that you'll go through for the second phase of the downtown project. So it's the same funding mechanism. But what you would do in this case, if you agree, is then sub-grant that to the Senior Citizen Center for the use of the elevator. They are eligible entities. The Senior Citizen Center is an eligible entity only as a sub-grantee. So they need a sponsor of either a city or a county in order to be a grantee of the project. And then the city's role in all of this is to oversee the project, and the funds would come in and out of the city. So you would be the stewards of those funds. You would also be a member of the project team. We would secure a certified grant administrator. You would be a part of defining the project scope, and then be a part of confirming all of the eligibility eligibility requirements for the closeout of the grant. And where you had just been a recipient, all of those have been met. And so that administrative burden should be very minimal for this grant. With my staff, we have tentatively planned on coordinating those efforts. There will be a first public hearing and a second public hearing. And what we're hoping is where these 2 grants are going in at the same time, that we can do those items with the city in tandem for both the Sunset Manor grant and the Phase 2 CDBG grant. Other than that, I guess I can brief you on like what the timeline would look like. Spring to fall, kind of this big area of 2026. We'll be preparing application materials, really narrowing the scope. Well, it's the elevator, so it's pretty narrow. Do the citizens participation plan and then that first public hearing. We'll submit the grant in November. We should know spring of 27 whether that's awarded or not. And then ideally in late 2027, we've got a new elevator for Sunset Manor.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
So having two grants at a time, they don't look at that and say, okay, you can only have one of these. Are they going to conflict with each other?
Typically that is the case. These two grants are out of different set-asides. So the Phase 2 of the downtown plan is considered under economic development set-aside. And this one the Sunset Manor one would be public facilities. So you can have two, but they have to be out of different pots of money.
It's a good question. How much would the grant be for the elevator?
Up to
You aim at that?
650,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Cool.
Any other questions, discussion?
Do we need a motion?
Okay, so what do we need to do here?
I move that we approve the mayor to enter into a contract to act as the sponsor for the CDBG grant for the Bingham County Senior Center.
We need.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Ford, you want to quick, Rex? Is the crowd gone, Scott? Is the crowd gone?
I don't know.
If it is, we just need to open that door again before we move on. This was an open meeting.
Open.
Okay. The next is just an update on the sale of the old animal shelter. I went in and signed papers. What day was it? Friday of last week. I'm waiting to get the check, and Doug Sayre hadn't signed at that point, but we should see the funds this week. We'll go over, pick up the papers that were signed and have the check.
Cool.
So that's the update.
Did you find a good title company?
No.
Inside joke, sorry.
Airport road closure. As hopefully you all know, on April 18th, we're going to reenact a mini Paul Revere ride. And it will come from the shelter at Airport Park and will go down in front of Ridgecrest Elementary, which is where we're going to have the musket shooting and things like that. And so we do have to have some road closed between about 7:15 and 8 p.m. that evening. And I need council approval to do that. The police have agreed that they could get that done.
That's April 18th.
April 18th.
Okay. And tell me again where it goes from where to where?
It goes, they need Airport Road in front of Ridgecrest Elementary to the shelter at Airport Park closed. That's what.
So from the four-way stop there at Airport and whatever, the one that goes across Wooten down to
You know what
the
time?
shelter.
7:15 to 8 p.m. is what they said approximately.
Okay.
I don't know. This is the email I got. Don't.
I mean, should we designate a little broader time?
I think we need to designate a broader time. I thought
You wanna
it
go
started
from-
earlier than that.
Can I? The plan is Paul Revere is writing at 7.
7?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
so it's gonna need to be closed earlier than that.
so
So
I'll,
6:30.
6:30, 6.
okay, I'll make the motion. Cover all of these things, that we approve the closure The airport road closure for the America 2050 celebration on April 18th, 2026 for any times required in the evening for the activities planned thereon.
Do we need to close more than Airport Road?
Well, it just says the airport road in front of Ridgecrest to the airport parking
Okay. So we're good.
shelter, so.
Just making sure
Included.
that's included, we're good.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, next thing, liquor sales at the golf course. Can I have Preston come on up? Preston, of course, is the manager at the golf course. Go ahead, Preston.
So my family and I, we've taken over the cafe at the golf course. So my daughter McKinley, she's managing it, and my wife and I, we technically own it. There's been people come to us, ask if we can bring liquor in. I've always hesitated a little bit about it, but the more I've talked to the city, like Mike's Cafe Mike's in Idaho Falls, all 3 courses up there have it. There's 2 courses in Boise area that have it. Twin Falls Municipal has it. I was just down there a little over a week ago playing a golf tournament, and I talked to their cafe manager, and I talked to them all just to see if they've had any issues, any like people, any accidents and everything. And they all say no. Of course, there's no guarantee. We are not going to be a bar. That's what I don't want to be. I'm not going to be a bar. We're going to close. Like even right now, the cafe will close 1 hour after the last tea time. So our latest tea time in the summer is 7 o'clock. And so the cafe was shut down, the grill and everything at 8 o'clock. So everyone's out by then. So if they want to have another drink, they got to go somewhere else. Typically, since I've been there and most golf courses I've been to, we don't have a lot of people that stick around and drink a whole lot as it is. They get their drinks as they play golf, and then they come in, and sometimes there's a group that when they settle up their bets or whatever, they'll have a drink and then they're out. And so we will, monitor it as well as we can. My daughters have already had to cut a couple people off just with, beer and stuff. And so we really haven't had any issues, but also if there are issues that arise, I am there probably 95% of my life right now. I am there. So I'm there to help them out if any situations arise with that. Another thing is, owning the cafe, I would like to see a little profit from it. I know we're not going to get rich. That's not the point. The point is to serve our customers, and they're kind of asking for that. So I'd like to have that opportunity to give that to them, but being able to monitor it closely. So
We're talking probably more like beer and wine type sales.
right now, yes. Would like to bring liquor in to have mixed drinks and stuff like that. And that's where, the golf courses have that beer wine in previous years. And so the only thing not the only thing, obviously I'm trying to get the beer and wine, but also liquor, but I'm not going to be I wouldn't be a full bar, obviously bring in a little bit just to have a few mixed drinks for people.
So show my ignorance here. We don't do that currently. We don't have beer and wine out at the golf course for sale.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So you're wanting to go a step harder.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. And do we have a license for that?
He does.
Another
Yeah.
ignorant
Yeah.
question. Sorry. Yeah.
It's considered a recreational area, and state of Idaho allows liquor license for recreational areas.
Oh.
And
Know
so
that.
Preston has purchased that on his own as part of the cafe owner. He already has the license. Am I
So
correct?
Correct. The state and county, and then people are asking me, well, how'd you get that approved, right? Because there's a waiting list for City of Blackfoot.
Right.
There's special exemptions, and if I'm an 18-hole golf course, and there's certain rules I have to apply by and qualify for, and I qualify for all those. So
Okay.
All right.
What's the name of your restaurant?
1912 Cafe.
So, and this is common practice then around us, like
Yeah.
all those courses you mentioned, they do hard liquor
Yes, they.
in addition to beer and wine.
I would move that we approve the liquor sales at the Golf Course Cafe as presented.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. All right, thank you, Preston.
Thanks, Preston.
Thank you.
All right, we will turn the time over to Travis. The first item on the agenda is the Highland Heights Planned Unit Development.
Good evening, council. The Highland Heights Planned Unit Development is 128 townhomes and 20 single-family units, a total of 148 units. It's located along Highland Drive on two different parcels, zoned LDR2 and MDR1. Out of the 20 public agencies that we notified, we received comment from 2 of them. The Division of Environmental Quality made a few comments, but the main comment is based on having discussed the potential risks, the DEQ concurs that the development proceeding at this time. The other public agency that responded was the Blackfoot School District, number 55. In summary, the Blackfoot School District will only give input on future planning and zoning issues if and only if there's a legitimate concern of the district. The current zoning and comprehensive plan policies relevant to the proposed subdivision, the current zoning for each parcel is LDR2 and MDR1 and is appropriate for the development proposed. The development is conforming to the comprehensive plan and provides single-family and multifamily residents within the city limits and infills the recently annexed enclave in the city boundary property. The developer is providing 119 acres of common space for the 128 units and the 32 townhouses. The single-family lots in LDR2 will be within the zoning requirements for size, density, and coverage. The development is bordered on all sides by the low-density LDR1 with single-family and two-family dwellings. The border to the south is undeveloped and is owned by the county based on having discussed the potential risk with DEQ. They concur that the development proceeding at this time. The site has adequate access to city water and city services and will be connected to both. It's proposed that the homeowners authority will manage the communal areas. The communal areas will be irrigated by approved irrigation system. The site has also been an enclave to the city boundaries until recently annexed and has agricultural uses such as vacant lot used as a vacant lot for several years and is conducive to infill development. Highland Drive is a 2-lane road with a major collector. Cooper's Way is a residential street with a 60-foot wide right-of-way that connects to East Airport. Road is a minor arterial. The proposed street for the interior of the planned unit development will be built to city standards and dedicated right-of-way. Off-street parking spaces within the subdivision are adequate for density at 2.83 per unit for the total of 363. All parking spaces will be in garages and driveways and will be provided with each unit of lot. Site plan meeting was held on March 20th, 2025 to discuss city ordinances and development required in the subdivision. Each superintendent submitted their staff reports. The building officials said, please make sure your builder only pulls as many permits as they can handle at one time. Safety standards during the phase development, such as a barrier to keep residents safe. There needs to be a 5% grade for drainage around the structures. The fire marshal, code review, fire hydrants and water supply, current fire hydrant availability and water supply is inadequate. 2 additional hydrants are required. See map attached to the fire marshal report. Conditions of approval, hydrant locations and water supply flow data must be verified and accepted prior to construction. Emergency vehicle access and all weather roads must be in place before construction begins. Street signs and addresses must be posted before, during, and after construction. All fire department access roads must remain unobstructed during construction. Parks and Recs, you'll be required to have a community park if the development would be maintained by the HOA. If the park is city-owned, there are specific requirements for the playground equipment. Planning and zoning administrator, 2 phasing plans are attached to the application and the developer needs to choose which one for approval. Currently, there are plans for 4-phase and 7-phase development. Each phase of infrastructure will be required to be completed prior to any building permits. Each phase will need a development agreement approved by City Council. An approved bridge or crossing will be included in the improvements to cross the Corbett Slough connecting Cooper Street Way. The easement to the southeast end of the development that is used for a septic drain field, the developer will have to negotiate an agreement with the resident to connect to the city. Streets will be named on the plat and reviewed by city and county for duplicates and follow addressing code. Corrections to the templates and legal description need to be made before going to city council. Street and sanitation, streets with curb, gutter, and sidewalk built to city standards. Any frontage against the road needs to have curb, gutter, and sidewalk completed in your half of Highland Way repaved. Once the development is completed, you're required to chip seal and coat the development upon completion. Stop signs will be added for each intersection. We'll need to see storage areas, bulb outs to store winter snowfall because driveways are so close together, not leaving area for snow storage. The sanitation department has the capacity to supply sanitation services to the property. Wastewater treatment plant superintendent has mentioned the cost of each hookup. All stormwater must be retained on site. Sewer lines are available on Cooper's Way, Highland, and possible Wooten Way. Each unit must have its own sewer service. All sanitary and stormwater infrastructure must be installed in accordance to the most current addition to the Idaho Standard Public Works Construction and the City of Blackfoot Engineering Standards, whichever is more stringent. All testing of sanitary water and stormwater infrastructure must be completed according to the ISPWC. All testing must be witnessed by a certified engineer. Reports submitted to Public Works Committee. Any building that can be sold separately must have its own service. Service lines could run through the middle of the road. Public-owned sewer lines must be in the public right-of-way, otherwise they are privately owned and maintained. Water superintendent, a water meter will not be required and submitted for review. All water meters, radios will need to be purchased by the developer through the vendors. A 1-inch culinary line is currently, at this time it was 2306 and now it's 2418 per line. Each unit will need to be serviced separately. Zero scaping is encouraged. They'll need to blow off at the end of each lines at each phase. Secondary irrigation is for green spaces is required. If the roads are not dedicated to the city, then the HOA is responsible for all infrastructure inside the development. At the end of my staff report, you'll see the attached letter from the recently comments from the DEQ and also comments from the School District 55. Any questions?
All right, I have a few. So this is a PUD, and so the intent of the PUD is that there's going to be some open space, and you talked about open space. I'm having a hard time finding the open space, and I'm wondering which of those lots is considered the open space and what amenities are going to be there for either the residents or for the city.
The open spaces is considered lot 19, and that's all the open spaces that are in the green spaces that isn't part of a lot that could be sold. So you have this space here, and I think the developer could better answer that question, but it's going to be lot 19, and you can see lot 19 all through the development where there is not any buildings being developed.
And there aren't currently any plans to, because this is a large development, it's 18.2 acres. So there aren't plans to put in like a park or something.
This area right here, that is the area where they plan to put a park in. Retention pond over about this area right here. This is just the plat that doesn't show all the preliminary construction plans.
What's that area, that little trapezoid that's that park?
Right here, this is block 2, and this also is open. These are townhomes right along here, and we also have some, well, this space right here because this is another area, unplatted.
Do you know what the area is, like the measurement? Like how many square feet, how many acres?
Well, it's 135 by.
So we just have to back that?
I'm sure there's another page to this that will show you the size of
135
that.
by 60.
lot, but
You're looking at lot 6.
Yeah, but there's also that little trapezoid.
yeah,
Right.
We have a developer that probably could answer that question.
Is this big enough to qualify as a large-scale subdivision?
Yes.
Is the developer here to tell us about that part?
Well, we don't want to open up.
No.
It's not a public
No,
hearing.
it's not
It's not a public hearing.
So we're looking at, as of right now, single-family homes around the out exterior,
Yes.
okay?
On
And
the
these are,
north and west side.
right,
Yeah.
and then these are townhomes, or are they multi-story complexes?
They're
or
townhouses.
Townhomes, attached,
There's 4 units per
building?
building.
or units per
It's
building?
kind of like over by
Two-story.
Lawrence Land.
Okay, like over, okay, off airport.
So they don't have space in between them?
They do.
They don't show it here, but they show.
They don't show it there, but in this concept,
Okay.
they show the spaces in between. After each 4 units, you still have a fire code that requires 10-foot space
Okay.
gap between them. If you go back to the plat, you'll notice that some of the lots are a little bit bigger every 4 units. So you can
That's so you can get.
so you can get that space in there and still put the footprint and sell the lot individually.
Then you have to have the setback between them.
Just that one between each
But
unit.
I'm talking about the back of it there, you got that space in between.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that, I mean, is that pretty close to what's over those townhomes on Cromwell?
Yeah, and a lot of this open
Spaces
space,
between the buildings and the spaces in between the buildings?
yeah, and a lot of this open space helps meet the common area space.
Okay, the other question I have is, well, it's going to be part of your business here a little later. We're just going to amend and go to from 2.5 to 3 as far as requirements on parking.
Parking.
Okay,
This
is that,
application was before that code
Ah.
change, so we have to go by the application date.
Hmm.
At the current codes.
because I was just saying, we've talked about this before. That's a major issue in every single complex that we go ahead and approve is parking.
That's right. But this is, application is before that code was heard or public noticed. So we have to go by the current ordinances at the application date.
I'll be honest, I'm concerned that the open spaces don't meet the intent of the ordinance. They're-
Tell us why you think that.
Because if you look at the ordinance, it says, I have this written down, these provide common open spaces and other amenities not in traditional lot by lot developments. So if we're counting essentially the backyards, that's in a traditional lot by lot development. And
You
we've
can't
got,
use it.
what's that?
You can't use that in between as far as the backs. It's in between. That's not usable. I mean, it's green space, but it's not usable.
Right, it's not
green space.
usable green space.
Right.
No, nobody's gonna be out there playing
Right.
frisbee. And so we've got these small little quarters that are not developed, and then that block 2, and then that unplatted deed, the little trapezoid area. For a development this large, I would expect something more significant in order to really qualify as a PUD. And we talked about that. I remember there were more than one conversation at when I was planning and zoning about where is that line, and do we need to be more specific in our ordinance, but where it says, provides common open spaces, not in traditional lot by lot developments. So, I don't know,
Does it give a number?
it doesn't give a number,
So
so I know, and that's why I don't love that
It's a
that ordinance is
percentage.
vague.
So all of the single-family homes have their own space.
Mhm.
You've got room in between the buildings. They have like a shared backyard. I assume it's,
But that right
like
there is not usable.
like a fence in between them, so you got your own little back patio kind of thing. You ever spend any time over at the homes?
Yes.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
not
probably like that, for each unit.
that's not any different than a common lot by lot development. We all
Then
have
you've got
backyards.
space here. These, I'd probably agree. I mean, it's just what it is. A retention pond, right, Travis? Is that where the pond goes?
That's correct.
And then you've got this area right here.
So you basically, the one you just pointed at, Bart, that one, and then go back to the right,
Yeah, you got a little bit
a
here.
little there, and then up. That's it, that one.
That's it.
You have a little.
That's
And you got
basically,
some
yeah.
How big is that spot? Over there.
Somebody grab a map and measure it.
Lots, small area right here as well.
I've always interpreted PUD ordinances, you're gonna be able to be creative with your use of land to be able to accommodate for something, a swimming pool or a park or something that enables you to get that density bonus over here so that you can use the land over here and still get the same number of units per acre that you would if it was a traditional development. But I don't see that we're having that intended community amenity that you look at and I hate to compare them, but you look at the townhomes at Cromwell and they've got a
They
swimming
have
pool, they've
that
got,
centerpiece
they
in
have that
Carmel.
centerpiece.
Well, yeah, on the new one.
They have the
Yeah, well, half
centerpiece.
that centerpiece is
Yes.
also a retention pond.
Right,
They're building
There's a swimming pool and
clubhouse
centerpiece.
yeah,
Right.
so you've got the swimming pool, you've got the
Yes.
clubhouse, there's amenities that I
Mhm.
do not have in my neighborhood because I have a traditional lot by lot neighborhood. And I
Mhm.
wouldn't expect that to be there. My neighbor's not gonna go opening up a swimming pool for me. Right, but you have a PUD, you're supposed to get some sort of something out of it, and I don't see that.
I agree.
Another spot.
I know years
Gotta do a
ago, we
measurement.
had discussions on having to have parks in developments. And one thing that we found back then was it was costing the city serious amounts of money to maintain those parks, because those
Mhm.
parks had to be dedicated to the city. And so we actually went through a few years ago and got rid of a number of those parks.
Yeah, we did.
Because it was costing us money, because we had to go mow and take care of each one of them, playground equipment, everything. And it was costing us more and more money, Parks and Rec, to do that. So that we had many discussions that, do we actually need to do these anymore? Over anything under a certain size, do we really need it? And anything over a certain size, what do we need? And I don't know if we ever really resolved that.
Well, our
But it is a
ordinance would
cost
indicate
to the
otherwise.
city.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. And there is gonna be an HOA associated with this, so
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be a cost to the city.
Right.
unless the HOA fails.
That's true.
And that's the problem we find is most HOAs will fail eventually. So if you say, well, put a pool in, then who's got the responsibility?
Yeah, well, somebody's got to maintain the backs of those lots.
And that's the other thing is if it does fail, the city has to maintain all of those, the backs of
Or would
those.
it be the homeowners? But how do the guys in the middle?
Right.
I'm not
The town
pulling a
homeowners,
lawnmower
yeah.
through my kitchen to get to my backyard, right? Like, how do they get to their backyard to mow it if it's not being maintained by the HOA?
And I think the ordinance is very vague because it doesn't give us a specific area that has to be dedicated.
Well, and I don't know that I would want it to give a specific area.
Well, I'm not
because
saying
we
it
wanna
should.
Give them that flexibility. And part of the reason for a PUD is to have that flexibility. If you have a big lot, part of it's unusable for whatever reason, you make that park and then you build over here. We don't want to, I mean, maybe a range would be appropriate, but I just like reading this ordinance. I don't feel like it holds to the intent of the PUD.
My guess is, I don't know, because we can't ask him, but my guess is that's going to be xeriscaped in between the backs. That's
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Makes sense, but then that takes out your green space too. But that's what you
you
do.
can play frisbee on rocks, but it is less fun.
Okay, this is rough and dirty measurements by the GIS map, but I think that green space would be somewhere around a half an acre.
This one right here, to total it all up.
No, just that one.
Just roughly, just rough measurements. It's, that whole area is like 0.9 acres, so roughly a half an acre.
So we're looking at roughly 2.8%.
Well, but then
For
we've
just
got
that one
this, we've got
spot.
these
Just that
other
one
areas on the bottom,
Right.
which are open for anybody to go use.
Technically, I mean, you look on the bottom, but
Right.
they're behind those last units.
Right.
People
But
there,
then
those
you've
last units are going to say, they're going to say, you're in my backyard.
Yeah.
That's-
Well,
Yeah.
you've got the area off to the side,
Mhm.
off to the right side, and the area off to the left side. If you don't really look at that little corner piece at the bottom, you still have the area here and the area there.
You have a few.
And according to my staff report, it does say that there's 1.19 acres used for common space
The 1.1.
1.19, okay.
total.
I missed that. That staff, I did read it. It was very big, so that number didn't stick, so.
I've had to read it several times.
Holy smokes. So that's 6.5%.
Now, is that of the whole development? Is that excluding the single-family homes that have their own common space?
I did everything.
Okay,
I just divided it by 18.18.
okay. What was the phases again? What was the first phase? Does that show on the map at all?
They have proposed it on their application. First
I
phase,
saw that somewhere.
first phase would be starting around this access point right here and about these units. That would include the single family units first and starting with some of these units through here.
How many phases are they planning?
Currently, talking to the developer, it's at 4, and that would be later determined by our development agreement. After they apply with DEQ and get approval there. And then we would, according to all the recommendations from the department heads, as well as recommendations from that application, our will serve letter, we would determine more than likely that would require all infrastructure and improvements be done in the first phase.
Oh,
So it doesn't, the improvements don't rely on the success of the project, that we have all the lines put in to a certain degree or acceptable degree and curb gutter, sidewalk or street.
Will the improvements be done phase by phase though?
We'd have to negotiate that a little bit because we do have requirements by the fire marshal requiring that we have access points and all-weather roads available during, before, and after construction.
I'm just thinking if they, if they put in the street and everything for phase 2 right before they start phase 2, but maybe not before they start phase 1. Just
I mean, we can hypothesize a little bit about it. We only have 2 access points. We gotta have all weather roads between. They can't block it off, so that would probably include the first loop, so you can have access to anywhere that they're doing construction and be able to have fire truck turnaround if it ever gets called in there, or an ambulance or any other emergency services.
And I think I read somewhere in here, again, large document, and this didn't stick either for me, but there was there some discussion about how long would this whole development take to put together? Seems like I read something.
There was a
maybe
date
several
in
years.
the traffic study of how far out they expected the project to extend. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now.
But it was a few years.
It was quite a few years.
Quite a few years, yeah.
And that's why they required the one intersection down by Wooten and Rich Lane and the state highway. It's not part of their development, but that is already at a D grade according to the highway handbook, and it would future go into failure and require the state, the ITD, to upgrade that intersection in the future.
So I had a question about that, and I talked to Superintendent Murphy about it a little bit. When I was the liaison to the Transportation Commission, they had talked to ITD, this was like 18 months ago, about improving that intersection. So nothing's happened yet. But is this the sort of thing where we have to wait for it to fail before ITD will step in? Or can ITD look at it and go, this is going to fail and we're going to do this ahead of time? I hate to wait for it to fail before something happens.
Well, I think a good positive note about our traffic study that was provided is that they did analyze that intersection. They did analyze it within the time frame they expect for the development. And they did suggest highly for the authority having jurisdiction over that right away to monitor it the whole time the project is going in. So they can adjust their schedule and their budget and their maintenance time frame to maybe classify that a little higher, maybe skip that ahead. Even currently right now, they're kind of dialed back on our intersection with Meridian and Highway 91, and that was a higher, or it was going to fail sooner. That is a very much busier part of the town, and in my opinion, everybody comes up State Highway, turns on Meridian to cross the bridge to get around.
And there was a fatality there at that intersection.
And then there was a fatality at that intersection, so that
11 years ago, I think.
yeah, so that definitely upgraded and put that at a higher consideration. It's one of them streets as well that doesn't come in perpendicular. It's at a 45. There's a lot of other streets that come in at Rich Lane and Wooten Way and Highland Drive at Interstate, at Highway 91. So I think it was a good consideration to analyze that intersection according to their traffic study, even though it wasn't at an access point or a local intersection around the development.
I appreciated that analysis. I noticed it already has a D rating, so it's definitely needs some improvement.
Yeah, and it's still the right of way of ITD. It's not.
Right, it's not ours.
Mhm.
So the school district commented there's no, doesn't affect them at all as far as overcrowding. They're under.
Yeah, all the schools in
All
the
the schools
land
are
make
down.
more kids. so.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
They're happy to have it.
Mine included.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's
I'm sure they're
enormous
happy to
down
have it.
everywhere.
I mean, they did make the comment that if there was an issue, they would make a comment.
And if
But
not,
they
they
also
weren't gonna
did
comment.
provide some statistics, some facts about the
They'll just
Ridgecrest
adjust boundaries.
Elementary's role in overcrowding if that was a concern within the district.
Yeah.
You know, they're rezoning right now and they can rezone again.
Or they're redrawing their boundaries.
That's what I meant by different rezone than happens here.
If we had, I think we have had a discussion about Highland Drive from Wooten down to this subdevelopment. But I know that probably needs a little bit of help before, outside of the scope of this, this development, because they're going to do curb and gutter and such from
Yeah.
here to here essentially. But what do we have as kind of a
Nothing.
Plan for the rest of that where it goes up over the canal there and it's a little,
That's out of my department.
go too fast, you catch a little speed over the bump there.
Yeah, I know we can only require what's connected to their
Yeah.
development for improvement.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I said that's outside of the scope of this, but I'm just curious. Some of that, in my opinion, is going to need to be repaired.
Well, it's definitely good.
Computer's going to die. I was also curious about the recommendation from P&Z that the water study be completed at the tap, not a physical traffic exhibit. I was more interested in about at the tap language. What exactly did they mean by that?
That is in the notes from the hearing, but it wasn't included in the finding of facts. In finding of facts under item 4, we need substantial evidence to require that, or it could be for review. Is that correct?
That's my recollection as well. I should have pulled it up. But the tap was, most of the study, or most of the principal reporting requirements are at the wellheads.
Uh-huh.
And so they were curious is that the same results as at the person's tap?
The pressure at the tap. Oh,
It was a pressure question.
That's a pressure question. Okay, all right. Then we have the physical traffic study.
You want to see the plat? When you pull the plat back up.
So when you talk about your green space, what would be your recommendation?
I just, new development this big, I think needs something more usable for the either whether it's residents only or for the community. That's up to the purview of the developer, but I know that like the Cromwell, those divisions have been mostly just for their developments, which is
Right,
their choice,
which is fine.
which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it doesn't meet the intent of a PUD.
So would that mean we would take that recommendation and table this or what?
Well, so I mean, you can handle it different ways depending on which way the council wants to go. Obviously, I mean, you can go from an approval based upon the findings of P&Z. If you have differing opinions, then you need to have the factual behind it, right? If you wanted to remand it for further consideration of some issue, as long as you have a basis for that, you can send it back for a separate public hearing to see if there's some amenities that can be included. If that would require another public hearing at the P&Z level. But like I say, you've got to give me the factual basis kind of theory. Like I say, if you don't think that meets the intent of the PUD, that's a factual basis.
Yeah.
If there's other concerns that you want to remand it for, you need to outline those.
I'm
But-
agreeing with you.
I don't know. I think where it's a mixed development, you've got single family homes that have their own space. And you got some shared space for the others, plus you've got the, back patio type arrangements. I respectfully think that it probably meets what's written, whether we feel that's right or not, that's, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But
And we've had this conversation many times over the years, but I mean, obviously it's, everybody has their property rights and one person's property rights don't trump another's. So you need to look at the code and kind of decide,
Right.
because if it fits the code, then you're denying somebody's property rights without considering that. So, and we've had that conversation many, many times.
How do you want to, because the recommendation that came from P and Z had two considerations with it. One was the water model, one was the traffic count. So I don't know if you'll have to tell me, Garrett, if we're going to make a consideration of whatever we do we need to throw those out or say we're going to keep them in before we do what we're doing? Because if we're proposing just to go back, if that's what happens, if the proposal was, oh, we just want more green space and we're accepting it except for green space issues, and that's all that can be reconsidered at the P and Z, nothing else can be considered, are we better off to deal with these two issues, these considerations to begin with? I'm trying to figure out
And I think that's another choice for council. It's the same kind of thing. If your inclination is to remand to consider issues, we need to outline what you want reconsidered by P and Z. If you don't think those requirements are necessary under the code because the superintendents felt like those things weren't necessary, that would be in your motion of moving forward with the subdivision. So those options are available.
I asked Travis about that water study. I think you could probably put it better than I could, though. Would you mind sharing with everybody what you told me about the water study, because it hasn't been done?
So usually, if you want to require a water study, usually has to be within our code. We do have within our code, require a water study for secondary irrigation. And there's a couple of steps before that could happen. They have secondary irrigation. They plan on using them shares and using it for irrigation, but we do not have anything for code for requiring water studies for like culinary water. We're currently working on the code to have them triggers in there for different studies. But currently at the time of this application, we only had it in there for secondary irrigation. And that included things like a letter from the ditch company saying what available shares there are. If they're already allotted to this property, the developer has already said, yes, there's shares available. We're going to reuse them shares to irrigate the common areas. It won't be part of the culinary water. But we only have that part of the code to require secondary irrigation and maintain them shares and not divert them back to the city. If they had shares before and it was available on the property, that they had to maintain them shares for the development as well. And it'll maintain the ditch. It'll provide the ditch company with payments and shares. We have to approve another criteria would be that we'd have to approve whatever irrigation system that they install.
And remember on the water, because you have pretty stringent state regulations that Princeton has to comply with. So Princeton, your superintendent's going to be the one that is going to require any study if it falls outside his comfort level. Because like I say, he's the one responsible to make that reporting.
And because he didn't say that, then we can't require it.
He specifically said that it wasn't needed.
Right.
And I think if I read it right, it also said that the surface water was not allowed, it had to be provided by irrigation, not by culinary water for any of you.
Yeah, that's the intent of the secondary.
So basically, we don't have any ordinance that requires that we do a water model because it doesn't require that in this situation.
So even though P and Z said that they wanted it, we can't require it.
Correct.
And then they did the traffic study.
Well,
the traffic
they've already
study
done the
was
traffic
volunteered, done by the developer and added as comments from the public hearing. It wasn't a requirement of any finding of facts or recommendations.
So they were proactive and got that and said, hey, we went from an A to a B, and that's, well within acceptable standards.
It is.
So that's why I bring up that the two conditions one, I don't think we can even require the water model, period. And second, I don't think a traffic count, even a physical traffic count isn't gonna override because it's not gonna have an
It's not
engineer.
gonna tell us anything right now anyway until the development goes in.
Right, and it's not certified by an engineer, and none of that was presented in the
Yes,
public
I
hearing,
read
so.
that, yes.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know if, you tell me, Garrett, do we just say, hey, as to the two considerations, we have a motion says those are off the table, we don't do that before we even get into the rest, or do we need to do it all at once, or how do you want
Well,
it?
it kind of depends on what council's inclined to do. If you want to narrow down the issues, then yeah, I think you can separate those motions so you can deal with concerns one at a time. I think that's appropriate if there's a specific concern there. If council's inclined to simply make those modifications and approve or deny, I think we can do that in a single motion.
Okay.
So not knowing which way council's kind of leaning, I kind of can't necessarily specifically answer that.
So we have to adopt the findings and facts and conclusions of planning and zoning
If you agree with them.
first, and we could modify the recommendation.
Well, and
You'd have to
if those two
modify it,
things are
but-
the two things you were concerned about, we can do that all in one motion. You can
All in
adopt
one
those
motion.
findings with those two changes.
Right, right. I'm gonna make the motion that we approve finding facts and conclusions by planning and zoning on the Highland Heights subdivision and not require a water study or a physical traffic study to be completed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I assume this is a roll call vote.
Doesn't have to be, but I would.
I think in this case, given the what's opinion, can we have a roll call vote? Go ahead, Julie.
Councilwoman Barlow,
No.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Gardner,
No,
Councilman Jensen.
Yes.
I guess you left it to me, didn't you? Nice, nice. I'm gonna vote in favor of the motion.
And I would add a second motion there, just to be clear, that you're then going to approve the PUD as presented with those two changes.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Because you approved the findings.
Yeah.
But then do a second motion just to approve the PUD based upon that first motion.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Scott, is there going to be discussion at all from the public?
It's not an open
Public
meeting,
hearing, yeah.
sorry.
We tried to do that at planning and zoning, and we felt it on deaf ears. They didn't listen to it.
We also didn't allow our appeal.
I'm sorry, this isn't an open meeting. They had 2 full open meetings there. They actually had 3. I know, I was chairman for 2 of those.
Mayor, the word you want is public hearing.
Yeah, public hearing, sorry.
It is an open meeting.
Yeah, but it's public hearing. So there was the chance to do that, and we've already got all those comments in here. We don't need to hear anymore. It isn't a public hearing.
And they have been read.
All of them.
So we have a
Took a
motion.
long time.
Do we got a second on that? We got a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call vote on this too.
Councilwoman Barlow.
No.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Gardner,
no.
Councilman Jensen.
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay. On to the next item.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance requiring parking spaces. The Planning and Zoning Commission has identified a growing concern regarding inadequate off-street parking with multifamily residential dwellings. Modern households increasingly include multiple licensed drivers and vehicles, many of which are parked on the street due to limited on-site parking availability. This contributes to the congestion, reduces neighborhood aesthetics, and can hinder emergency access. For all new multi-family residential dwellings, 4 units and above require 3 off-street parking units per unit with 1 additional off-street parking space shall be required for each bedroom beyond the main primary bedroom. And this is included for MDR 1, 2, and HDR 1 and 2.
So along with that, just, of course, fairly simple, the ordinance number will be,
2287.
so the ordinance will go along with that, it attaches the exhibit, so it's very simple. An ordinance of the city of Blackfoot, Idaho, amending Title 11, Chapter 4A, Section 7, regarding parking, loading, and access in certain areas of the city and providing for the effective date of said change. And be it ordained by the mayor and the city council of the city of Blackfoot, Idaho as follows. The Title 11, Chapter 4A, Section 7 shall be amended pursuant to the proposal attached here to as Exhibit A, Section 2, that the effective date of this ordinance shall be after passage and publications provided by law. So assuming you want to move forward with it, you would do a motion to adopt the findings of P and Z and the ordinance number 2287 and waive all required readings.
I'd like to discuss it a little bit first.
Oh, great. I just wanted to lay the groundwork for it.
This is an awfully large jump. And I agree that probably
Yes.
more is in order, but it's not a jump from 2 1/4 to 3. Like Travis and I have been talking, well, emailing, because I can't talk during the school day, but I can sure email. This, like if you had a fourplex of 3-bedroom units, right?
Uh-huh.
That is 3 plus the 2 for the 2 bedrooms that are not the master bedroom. So that is 5 parking spaces per unit. So we are jumping from 2 1/4. So we're jumping from 9 units to, I feel like it's quite a jump.
I was thinking the same thing when I was driving around today and looking at the different complexes. I was pondering this thing too, because I was thinking of my complex that I have 18 spaces right now. And wow.
And how many units and bedrooms and whatnot? do you
There's
have?
6, there's 2 bedrooms.
Yeah,
and 6.
my husband and I were talking about how many people you'd have to have living in a 3-bedroom apartment. And they're probably accounting for visitors, right? Which I get, because parties happen and I love that for people. But not everybody's gonna be partying that much all the time. I just don't know that we need.
So what would that increase your requirement to? How many additional stalls would you have? I didn't think about
Right
this.
here, you'd have to go, where you're looking at 4, so I'd have to have 24.
Instead of 18.
Double.
Wow.
And so you just.
Okay, I read that totally wrong, so I'm glad you brought that up.
How many?
I'd have to have double.
You're where now?
12.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 18 for some reason. I was like, yeah.
And I'm all great with increasing it, because we really don't want people parking on the streets, but.
You will
This is-
destroy all development.
yeah, pretty much.
This is a lot. This is really a lot.
When you mentioned the new development also on Airport back in there, they have the garage, the storage units and the extra
Oh,
parking.
yeah. Uh-huh.
They have quite a bit in there.
Yeah, that's
And I don't
true.
know if that one would even fit.
Yeah, I don't know what the specs on that. There were more in there though.
Right.
Than we required
I started
otherwise.
counting them and I thought they do meet, obviously, the current one.
Yeah.
We have 2.5, which most don't when you look at the older complexes. That's
Mhm.
one of the issues
Yeah,
we
that's
dealt
one of
with
the problems,
before. There is not enough parking. There's no question. But then again, it gets into that question of what do you do with your space? It's like you look down on Fisher Street. The house that I sold, my mother's house that I sold, had a 2-car garage, and there's 8 cars parked there. Well, of course, there's 4 slammed into the parking there, and there's 4 along Fisher. And you know what I'm talking about,
Oh, yeah.
Chris, because
Yeah.
we all see it. I mean, it's just.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same in my neighborhood.
Yeah. So, yeah, I understand where this is coming from,
Yeah.
but
But I think the mayor's right that it would shut down development, which.
Yeah.
You'd never get anybody to come in and develop it, probably should make his parking spots.
Right.
what you think of this one that we're just looking at? Wow.
Well, what if you did, and I think the clause that's throwing everything off is the one, when you look in there, it says, and 1 additional off-street parking space shall be required for each bedroom
Beyond the main.
beyond the main. So what if you just went with 3, crossed that rest of that out? Now you've,
Or we could flip flop it and say 1 per bedroom. if you've got 3 adults that are roommates and sharing an apartment, they're gonna, you know, give a 3-bedroom apartment, 3
You
adults.
need 3.
You need 3 bed, you need 3
Three
apartments.
parking spaces.
How does that affect you?
No,
Let's,
that right there, because I have 2
Because you have
bedrooms.
2 bedrooms, you have 2 parking spaces.
So now you have 12. And I have 16 spaces.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
we could modify the language so it's not so burdensome and detrimental.
Cause I mean, I was on P and Z when we increased it to 2 1/4 because everybody kept saying we needed more. And if we still think we need more, then I'm inclined to agree, we probably need some more. This is a lot more.
But and we always round it up, but it doesn't add that many spaces.
Right. No, I can see the logic in going to either 3 or 1 per bedroom, and I'm fine with either of those options. 3 is a little generous if you only have 1 or 2 bedroom apartments.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, then that's
That's a
way
little bit
generous.
overkill.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Though-
you figure,
Bedroom.
Though my experience is that in a 1-bedroom apartment, everybody has at
2
least
cars, yeah,
2
that's
So
our experience too.
I think
So,
you're
yes.
right. So
They do.
I'm just thinking, just do 3.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do 1 per bedroom because that would go down from the current if you have 1 bedroom apartment.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just the
Yeah,
part
So
we get around.
That's true.
You said a minimum of 2.
Minimum
Or one.
2 or 1.
Or I would want to keep it
Or
2
1 per bedroom.
1/4, 2 1/2 minimum, you know, because they are going to have visitors coming over who are going to need to park their cars.
So do
Those
2
ones are
1/4
very
or at a minimum,
Or 1.
or 1 per bedroom?
2 1/4 or 1 per bedroom.
Yeah, 2 1/4
If you've
minimum.
got- Well, we've got to word it so.
But
that
yeah, exactly, I see
you
what you're
say, Well,
saying.
I have 1-bedroom apartment, so I
Yeah.
only need 1. No.
Right,
2
So-
1/4 parking spaces per unit
yes.
or
1 per
2.
bedroom, whichever's greater.
Whichever's
1 per
greater.
Whichever's greater.
Whichever is greater.
Yep,
Okay.
whichever's greater.
I like
Do we
that.
want to keep it 2 1/4 or bump it up to 2 1/2?
Just do 2 1/4. I don't
Still
think.
keep it
we
2
need-
1/4?
Yeah.
I came up with that number, so I kind of like it.
Oh, let's change it then, 2 1/3.
See, I'm good with the 3 off-street per dwelling unit, because I know other areas that I've looked at, they require 3. So you can have the two people who live there and a guest.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
And that's, to go a quarter, I understand trying to do that. But then if you have more than, let's say, 2 or 3 apartments that have people over visiting, such as Thanksgiving, you don't have enough room. So,
Yeah, but you're just talking
yeah,
occasional guests. You're not
Okay,
talking.
bump
Right.
it to 2
permanent
1/2.
ones.
So minimum of 2 1/2
Minimum 2 1/2 and then go the.
or 3,
So
whichever.
so then you'd be just a minimum of 2 1/2 or 1 per bedroom, whichever is greater.
Whichever
Right.
is greater.
And then,
that would
are
work.
there any developments with odd numbers of apartments? Because then you'd have a half and you'd need to round up.
Well, you have,
Uh,
some have, yes, there's 3.
Are there some-
We have 3, there's some.
Are there 3
There's one
flexes?
that has 3 and then 4.
But this only applies to multifamily dwelling units of 4 and above.
4 and above.
There aren't any
Well,
with
that's what I'm saying.
5 or
There's
7,
Sometimes you have
Mm-hmm.
right?
those townhomes that have 3. That one off of
You'd-
Airport Road has 3 and 4.
Oh, you're right.
That's what it has.
You're right.
But this still, regardless, even if we adopted it as it's written right this second, it still only applies to 4 and above.
Yeah, but you're still talking about overburdening.
Sure.
So I think you
With
still have
people
to do just change the language here. You'd go, if you require 2 1/2 off-street private units, or 3 per
Or 1 per
bedroom,
bedroom.
whichever is
1 per
greater.
1
bedroom.
per bedroom.
You're like-
1 per bedroom.
1 per bedroom.
Yes.
Or 3 per bedroom. you
Yeah,
just
1
stop
per
it.
bedroom, whichever's greater.
Yeah.
That means we just changing some of that language in there so that it's,
It reduces the overburden on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm good
Okay.
with that.
Let's do a motion to alter the proposal to the 2 1/4.
2 and a
2
half.
1/2.
2
Yeah,
1/2.
7, 2 and a half.
I remember where you fell, yeah. So just make the motion to alter that to 2 1/2 per unit or 1 per bedroom, whichever is greater.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. And were you going to say something
Well,
else?
so now we do that motion.
Do that one first.
Okay.
And I was,
okay. since we're doing an ordinance, we need to do roll
No,
call.
not yet.
Oh, not yet,
Because
okay.
we're
Because
just changing the
you're just
wording.
changing,
I
it,
made you
okay.
do this in two
All those in
steps.
favor?
Aye.
So
Okay,
just to be
that
clear,
passes.
I want to do this in two steps. So then
Okay.
do a motion to approve ordinance 2287 and waive all required readings because it's just attaching that proposal as an exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
Now you
Okay,
vote.
now we do a roll call.
Okay.
Councilwoman Barlow.
Yes.
Councilman Brown.
Yes.
Councilman Gardner.
Yes.
Councilman Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, on to the next one.
Next item on the agenda is the adoption of landscaping and tree specs. Part of the current code for trees and landscaping is because we are a part of a Tree USA city, and we are required to have city ordinances as part of that Tree USA. And the original code had left out the adoption of the master list of trees. We have a expert that made recommendations for this. This is a good combination of both Idaho Falls and Pocatello's master list of trees. On the master list of trees, it covers deciduous, conifers, and also has a list of undesired trees. This is in public right-of-ways and public spaces or easements, not private property, to clarify that. But the adoption of the master list of trees will give a guide to landscapers, developers, property owners, of what can be around our right-of-ways.
So similar groundwork, just on the other one, will be an ordinance that attaches the proposal.
I have a question, just because if I read all the approved, this is paragraph 4, first page, all approved conifers from the list of official public tree species can be planted in public spaces. And part A says conifers are not approved street trees. Do we define street trees in here?
Yeah, and the
Yes.
list, on the master list, it does define a list and within the code of what a street
And we have a
tree
few
is.
problems with some of the trees in the city right now.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, but there is, yeah, I've read that. There is,
okay,
Conifers require more setback.
Right.
Because you can't trim them like what is,
Yeah.
the term used in the code is columnar trees.
Mhm.
So if you trim a pine tree or a Douglas fir or something like that, like a columnar tree, it's gonna look like a little Christmas tree at the top of a big stick to meet setback requirements or line of vision.
we've got some
And-
pine trees that got some pretty interesting cuts.
Yeah.
Bible
Especially,
power.
yeah.
Wow.
The
Oh,
power,
To save the leaf.
power tree
So-
butchers.
Yes.
So they're allowed, but they require
Okay.
more setback and more
Creative with
space.
their work.
You
Is
call it
there-
creative.
is there any discussion beyond this? Does anybody have any questions or any concerns? Then, what's
What's
So
the
the,
then
ordinance?
your motion would be to adopt the findings of P and Z and approve ordinance 2288 and waive all required readings.
So moved.
I'll second that.
see, roll call, sorry.
Councilwoman Barlow.
Yes.
Councilman Brown.
Yes.
Councilman Gardner.
Yes.
Councilman Jensen.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
we are on the last thing, an executive session.
Okay, I move that we move into executive session pursuant to provisions of Idaho Code 74206 subsection 1C to acquire an interest in real property not owned by a public agency.
Okay, we are in
Uh,
executive session.
We have to vote on that. I second that.
Oh, yeah,
Roll call.
roll call on that?
Councilwoman Barlow.
Yes.
Councilman Brown.
Yes.
Councilman Gardner.
Yes.
and Councilman Jensen.
Yes.
Okay. We'll be back in just a minute. Won't be very long.
The meeting and you weren't here.
Okay. So
I
we
move,
have,
we move back into regular session.
yeah, move. Motion, I guess.
We had
I
a motion and a
motion.
second.
She seconded.
So you were so quick.
We're just excited.
All right. Roll call.
Councilwoman Barlow.
Yes.
Councilman Brown.
Yep.
Councilman Gardner.
Yes.
Councilman Jensen.
Yes.
Oh, based on the fact that we have no other items on the agenda, I adjourn the meeting.